Perry with her daisy.
I got you, Flynn.
What did she learn?
Daisy, which is super important. It shows you how quick the flight was. The dead daisy that's like snipped from its life source was still alive.
Had I been one of the chosen few revolutionary women, I probably would have just jumped out and let the void of space either suck me in and destroy me.
There's a fine line between bravery and hilariously bad decision-making. And Katy Perry just moonwalked right over it. When Katy Perry signed up for a trip to space, she thought she'd come back a hero.
Gail.
We are the Taking Up Space crew. There's 6 of us, all women. It's a historical flight to space because it's the first time that all women have been in space.
Instead, she came back a walking meme. She gave the world one of the most unintentionally funny PR disasters in recent memory, and became the latest chew toy for Joe Rogan and half the internet. Because let's be clear, this wasn't a NASA Apollo mission. It wasn't even a solid game of Kerbal Space Program. Katy Perry paid $500,000 to go slightly higher than a Southwest flight, and declared herself forever changed by the limitless vastness of the cosmos.
These women did nothing. Truly, they could not have possibly done less for this 11-minute voyage.
Meanwhile, Joe Rogan, podcast king, Fear Factor OG, and professional BS detector couldn't stop laughing. And honestly, neither could the rest of us. On his podcast, Joe pulled no punches, mocking the entire spectacle by sarcastically calling Katy Perry's trip very profound, the exact same way you'd congratulate your cat for knocking a glass off the counter. He even added, "It was very profound. She's basically a guru now." While laughing mid-sentence, he laughed so hard at Katy Perry's space journey, you'd think he accidentally found a new planet. According to Rogan, Katy didn't actually go to space. She went on what's basically the Six Flags version of NASA. No orbit, no moonwalk, no ET phone home. Just a really expensive roller coaster that made her declare she's a changed woman.
But these bitches seem fine, these ladies.
Well, for now.
It was
Let's not
quick.
minimize. Let's
Right.
not minimize the sacrifice they
Yeah,
made for
no,
a
it was
great
huge.
nation.
It
For
was
the
a big
world,
deal.
in fact.
And it
Yeah.
wasn't just the sarcasm. Rogan full-on roasted the symbolism too, clowning on the fact that Katy decided to bring a daisy flower aboard the capsule. Because, you know, symbolism. He said, "She brought a daisy," which is super important. It shows you how quick the flight was, adding, "The dead daisy that's like snipped from its life source was still alive or still vibrant." And then there's Katy herself. In interviews, she described it like she was the first human to step on Mars, talking about how seeing the curve of the Earth made her rethink existence. As if Google Earth screenshots aren't free, she went full philosopher mode.
You never know how much love is inside of you, like how much love you have to give, and how loved you are until the day you launch.
Don't forget, Katy got out of the capsule, immediately dropped to her knees, and kissed the ground like she just survived The Martian.
Katy!
Joe wasn't the only one cracking up. The internet unleashed hellfire. Memes, TikToks, savage tweets, all painting Katy Perry not as a hero, but as the face of luxury cringe. And that, my friends, was just the warm-up act. Now let's talk about the true beauty of Joe Rogan's roast. It wasn't just a one-liner here or there. It was a full dissection, Joe slowly pulling apart Katy's whole life-changing cosmic journey narrative like it was a soggy science fair project. On his podcast, Joe Rogan didn't just hide his disbelief. He practically launched it into orbit. As he read the headlines hyping Katy Perry's so-called life-changing suborbital trip, he exploded into laughter, mocking the idea that 11 minutes and a quick 60-mile hop could alter anyone's existence. He said it was so underwhelming that even some of his sketchiest Uber rides felt more traumatic, and at least those came with a story worth telling. Then Tim Dillon, who was a guest that day, jumped in and made it even worse. He joked that rich people now just dress up as astronauts, like Halloween, but it costs $500,000 and takes zero effort. Rogan jumped in right after, laughing that it's basically an escape room, just with worse food. They weren't even being subtle. Joe then joked about how Katy would now go on interviews claiming she had seen the curve of the Earth and understood the meaning of life. And it wasn't just Joe Rogan and Tim Dillon having a field day. Other celebs jumped in to roast Katy too. On Jimmy Kimmel Live, Kimmel joked that the ladies had an overpriced trip in a giant penis.
Katy Perry, Gayle King, and Jeff Bezos' fiancée, Lawrence Sanchez, became the first group of women ever to visit outer space in a giant penis.
Olivia Wilde also decided to throw her own little meteor at the situation. After photos of Katy stepping out of the spacecraft started making the rounds, Olivia couldn't resist. She shared a meme of Perry exiting the capsule with the caption, "Getting off a commercial flight in 2025. But she didn't stop there. Olivia then slid into the comments, twisting the knife just a little more by writing, $1 billion bought some good memes, I guess. Ouch. Not exactly the kind of star-studded support Katy was probably hoping for. At that point, it was pretty clear. Katy's so-called life-changing journey had officially entered meme territory, and the internet wasn't offering any return tickets. By the end of the week, Katy Perry's life-changing journey had basically turned into a giant running punchline, a reminder that no matter how high you fly, Twitter's still waiting to drag you right back down. It wasn't just savage, it was surgical. And the audience, millions of listeners who already have a sharp radar for BS, were howling. But honestly, even without Rogan's jokes, Katy's own words did most of the damage. Let's get into that. Now look, nobody expected Katy Perry to come back and deliver a TED Talk on quantum physics. But the way she described her trip made even her biggest fans go, "Girl, really?" First off, Katy said, with a straight face, "I couldn't recommend this experience more," describing it as second to being a mom. And hey, that's beautiful. Until you remember, her space trip lasted less time than a Starbucks drive-thru. Katy also tearfully described how she felt a oneness with all humanity while floating in zero gravity for approximately 11 minutes. Then there was the infamous daisy moment. Katy brought a daisy flower into the capsule to honor her daughter, Daisy Dove. Daisies are common flowers, but they grow through any condition, she said. They grow through cement. They grow through cracks. They grow through walls. They are resilient, powerful. They are strong. They're everywhere.
For me, I brought a daisy because I have so much love for my daughter Daisy, and I have so much love for Mother Earth.
Cute, but also, you were literally inside a pressurized billionaire sardine can. There was no soil, no sun, no real spacewalk. You floated, took a selfie, and came back faster than most people finish an Amazon checkout. And the internet, as always, had receipts. If you thought Joe Rogan was rough, wait until you see what the public did.
The reason that Katy Perry is not technically an astronaut right now is because none of the people in this capsule could actually operate anything.
Wendy's official Twitter account went nuclear. Right after Katy landed and made her speech, Wendy's posted, "Can we send her back? No chill. Just a direct missile launched at the Queen of Camp." Even late-night hosts got in on the action.
And now we're supposed to celebrate her crossing new barriers for women, meaning boinking a billionaire and getting a free ticket to space for 11 minutes.
Not just that, this whole stunt put the idea of women empowerment into question.
It's so much money to go to space. Yeah. There's a lot of people who can't even afford eggs. What are they going to do up there that has made it better for us down here?
But Katy wasn't about to just sit there and take it. After getting roasted left, right, and center for her big ticket seat on the Blue Origin New Shepard mission, she finally fired back. And she did it in classic Katy Perry fashion. On the first night of her space-themed Lifetimes tour in Mexico City, she took a moment on stage, stared straight into the crowd, and dropped a pointed question. Has anyone ever called your dreams crazy? The message was crystal clear. She wasn't just talking about space. She was talking about every jab, every meme, every late-night joke that tried to turn her life-changing trip into a punchline. And judging by the crowd's roaring reaction, at least her fans were still ready to blast off with her, haters and all. So let's get this straight. Katy Perry thought she was making history. Joe Rogan thought she was making TikToks. And the internet thought she was making memes. And boy, did they deliver. Was Katy Perry brave? Sure. Was she technically an astronaut? Only if we're giving astronaut badges to people who ride the Tower of Terror at Disneyland. In the end, Katy Perry didn't change humanity. She didn't unlock the secrets of the universe. She didn't even break a sweat. Oh, and Jeff Bezos still charged her $500,000 for what was basically a glorified elevator ride with a slightly better view.
So it was cool. They took a very, very expensive, very, very cool roller coaster ride.
Now, what do you think? Was Rogan savage or just honest? And is the internet being too harsh? Sound off in the comments. Roast freely. Also, smash like, hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.